Good afternoon. This is for the Psychology Period 5 students, and if you will do so, you can go to the Unit 4 Learning PowerPoint in the unit on Canvas, and we're going to scroll through. We've already done quite a few things. Okay. You've done some assignments on classical conditioning and operant conditioning, and as we know, those are the first two of the types of learning that we started discussing before we went on break. Ivan Pavlov, of course, the classical conditioning psychologist, most closely tied to that. B.F. Skinner, once we get through all of the classical, B.F. Skinner with the rat in the box was the person who became most closely tied to operant conditioning. Now, here we go. Anyway, the rat in the box, one of the more famous experiments. How many times with that rat? How can we get that rat to press that lever for some food? Anyway, one of the things we do want to get into when you're dealing with operant versus classical conditioning, when asked, because clearly in operant we're dealing with reward and punishment. And the big thing is that it differs from classical conditioning, as you can see down here, active part of the learner. So I think I've used an example with my dog. My dog will hear coffee poured and it will get excited. Okay, that's because it thinks it's going to go out, so it'll get excited. But it has learned then also to just simply go to the door. So it's taken a behavior, and that's a voluntary action. So the dog is both classically and operantly conditioned. Now, get into things like reinforcement. There are two. We're talking about reinforcement and punishment. Obviously, a lot of you have written about in the assignment. You wrote about motivating. How would you motivate any workers if you ran an organization, or even in the school? How would you do that? Well, fortunately, I think everybody talked about positive reinforcement, recognizing people, rewarding them for what they do, which means that's how you would want to be treated also. You want to get down here too. The thing I want to talk about today, actually, is really more punishment than anything. And we all understand positive reinforcement, something that works for most people as far as motivating them. That's just something that human beings seem to desire, seem to crave. Punishment, on the other hand, it's interesting because punishment has been used universally for things, but punishment is actually not one of the more effective ways to motivate people. In fact, very ineffective generally, especially if you're looking for creating kind of a happy environment, or workers or students or whatever, people that enjoy what they're doing in the long run or overall. Now, so we've got positive punishment, obviously, here. And what we're looking for, of course, the goal of punishment, a decrease in behavior, which is the key. When we got into reinforcement, we wanted to increase a certain behavior, like with the rat. We got the rat to increase the behavior of pressing the lever because it got rewarded for that. In this case, with punishment, we're trying to not increase behavior, but decrease it. I want to get people to stop doing things. And so either I'm going to add a consequence or I'm going to remove something that they like. So now, and when we get into this person not only, I don't know if you can look at it in several different ways, obviously. One thing he had to do is keep writing, I'll be good. But what we're trying to do is change the behavior, keep him from doing bad things. So we're trying to, in that case, decrease the bad behavior by having him wear the dunce cap. And right on the board, taking away his freedom. That board took away his freedom after school, where he could go play. Anyway, here we go. Disadvantages. And what we wanted to do just in this short video, we're kind of trying out the videos here, is looking at the disadvantages. We know, again, of course, that being rewarded, being praised, being monetarily rewarded, anything like that, when you get something positive out of it, the chances, the law of effect means, that Thorndike brought up, and you saw in your reading, the law of effect that Thorndike came up with, that then B.F. Skinner built his operant conditioning on, simply says that if you're rewarded, you're going to do it more often. If you're not, you're just not going to do it. Now, punishment is different in that you do a behavior, you're going to get punished. Hopefully, that will also result in a decrease in certain behaviors, but we know that there are situations that it often doesn't have an effect. If the punishment doesn't have an effect on you, let's use just wearing lanyards, for example. You know, there's a good reason that the school wants you to wear lanyards, but it's hard to remember. So people get out of the habit. So how do we get you to remember to do that? So ultimately, we can't be rewarding everybody over, all the time. So we often come up with punishments for things like that. But then the question is, do the punishments even work? So disadvantages, some of those in that context. Punishment just generally does not extinguish undesirable behavior. I can get you to change things, but in the long run, it really doesn't have much of an effect. It suppresses for a while, but doesn't really change a person's behavior. Ultimately, then, if punishment is removed, behavior will start up again. Indicates behavior is unacceptable, but what's the more appropriate thing? I want you to wear your lanyard. You forget to do that, I give you a detention. Okay, is it going to help you develop more appropriate behavior? What can I do to help you do that? Punishment doesn't seem to work. The person who is punished often becomes fearful and feels angry. I mean, you guys know that. They communicate, gosh, this is just annoying, and you kind of start to resent people, even though those people are really actually looking out for you. And in extreme conditions, not in this one, lanyards don't do that, but people who are being punished often become very aggressive, and it can become a dangerous situation. Now, is it ever effective? Oh, yeah, definitely, it can be. It has to be applied as soon afterward. It has to be relevant. It really is the case. So it has to be pretty timely. Punishment, it can't be too strict. You can't go overboard in punishing somebody. You're going to really get into that whole aggression thing. So, what's the saying? The punishment must fit the crime, I guess is the way to say it. And, of course, punishment must be applied consistently. If we apply certain things to one person and something else to somebody else, then we're going to have issues with that being effective in the long run. Now, there's this nice grid, which we're going to do here. You can see the keys here: reinforcement, punishment, positive, and negative. Again, I'm looking to increase a behavior here in reinforcement in this column. Positive means I'm adding something. Negative means I'm removing. And of course, over here on punishment, decreasing a behavior, but I'm adding something in positive to get you to stop doing it. Whereas in negative, I'll be removing something. Now, some of these things are discussed in that assignment which I posted for you, so we're not going to get too far into those. But you can see the Skinner box. We gave food to the rat. The rat was going to press the lever, was going to perform the behavior as long as he got rewarded. On the other hand, too, and you'll see some other things, traffic tickets, taking away cell phones, those types of things, you're getting into punishment, and hopefully those are the things that get you to start doing what you need to be doing. Now, again, we had the activity, the assignment. What motivates you? I saw that most people chose positive reinforcement when they were going to deal with other people. And generally that means that's how you like to be treated. Does one style fit everyone? No, actually, there are people that really don't respond to positive, and you got to, it's not if it's the carrot or the stick, you're kind of looking at the stick. Now, we'll get into, in the next one, we'll go into escape and avoidance learning. So I'm going to stop here, and we'll go from there. Talk to you soon. Bye.